And I guess maybe that comes down to the imposter syndrome part as well, where maybe you're like, oh, this is my first game, especially if it's your first game, where you're like, oh, well, why would anybody like this game? Like, why would someone want to play this when all these other games exist? And I get it. Like, there are so many games out there, and there's so many incredible games out there that it can be difficult to imagine what your place in that space is going to be.
Yeah, I always found it like at the start, I was really comparing myself to every other game, like every other game, and I was like, I can't do that. You look at that, look at that, and in the end, you're just like, you know what? Like some of my most favorite games are not good. Like you know what I mean? Like as in they're not AAA games. Like most of my games I want to play are indie games. Like and when I say indie game, I don't even know what that really means anymore. But like, yeah, like. I don't have to have like stunning 3D graphics. I just have to have a cool game that's fun to play, and like that's it. It's just fun. Like explain your fun. Saying what why is your game? What's good about your game? Like this is what makes it fun, and you say those reasons, and that's what I do.
I think having a core idea about like what the point of your game is important, because you can get yourself in a situation where you start letting like feature creep happen, where yes, you have this core idea at the start, but then you're like, oh, let's add this thing, let's add this thing, let's add this thing, and it's like you just keep getting excited by the new shiny thing, and by the end of it, your game has a million different things, but none of it really feels polished, and that's something.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid that, but
well, we do have this thing that we're putting in at the moment with the digging, which
Yeah, we're at a point where it's kind of like just talking about what we want to add in, but eventually we will have to cut things and see how it all fits in together and stuff like that. That's part of production, You
have to hang out and have fun and say, what about put this in and that. That's like a key part of the brainstorming and the fun and of it. And from those things, you always get your your diamonds in the rough kind of thing where you're like, oh, that's an actual good idea. Let's actually do that, not just go, what if we put a giant stiffy that comes in and sings a song? Yeah, you're like, that'd be cool. But then later on, you're like,
put that in the GDD.
Maybe we should put that in there. It always kind of filters down. But it is a thing of just knowing, cut it off when you're like, or just go, put that in the next game.
It's good our game's so simple because it means things like that we can add in pretty quickly. So I'm hoping anyway with things like items and stickers, it'll be easy to add more in over time. So there's not as much creep with the scope and stuff like that. So
we've kind of got what we want to do in it, and it's just building on top of that, more of it basically. But I understand how they're blowing out.
The idea of game dev is that you have this concentric development, right? So you have this core, and you go what's the core? And so what Eli's building now is the core. That's the player controller, the character controller, and then enemies, and then shooting them. And you do that, and you make sure that's fun, and then polish that really highly, and then iterate and build out from that. So you're not you don't half-ass the core and then start building out features, because then nothing really works.
Build a boss first. That's all you do. Start at the boss, and then maybe I should make a player character. Don't do it like that.
Well, I think obvious stuff. It depends on sort of what you're going with, because I know some people, they start entirely from the art, for example. They have this idea about this is the style I want to have for the game, and they might not know exactly what sort of game they want to build around it, but I don't think it's necessarily bad to start that. But I think if you let it go too long without setting some ground rules on where you're trying to take this, that's when you can start to see it go in just weird, uncontrolled directions.
That's where prototyping is important too. So if you want to add a feature to the game, prototype it, see how it feels and stuff like that, and you can make a decision based off that as well.
So we now have the old project, the Avcon project, is over there, and that's Dan's playground. So if he wants a new feature, or he wants to try out this digging thing or whatever, he can just build it, prototype it, chuck it in. It doesn't matter if it breaks things, because it's the prototype. It's that project over there, and it's not going to mess with the real project that Eli's building over here. So it's nice to have that space. It's a bit of a playground or a bit of a sandbox for devs to try things out, test things, and see how they feel before you then go back to planning and then plan it properly and then build it in the real project. That's the kind of approach we're taking with. It's nice.